But by the time they get home, you should have written down all the details of that introductory appointment. You will always, always forget something very important if you don't do this, and that will haunt you later. Before the end of the day of that appointment, they have to have been emailed. There has to be an email thanking them for coming down, all the things that you would like to communicate with them after an introductory lesson or an appointment or whatever it is that you call it. Okay? So I'm being lenient here. I personally think the email should go to them before they get home too. Wouldn't that impress you? Yeah, a lot of us might get emails on our mobile phone, and that's going to be cool. I'm driving home, I get a little buzz, and I check it when I park. Hey, they already emailed me. That's cool. What's even, I think, a little bit more compelling is when they get home and they go to check their email on their home computer or their laptop or maybe their iPad, whatever it is they're using, and boom, there's an email from the guy they just worked with or the lady they just worked with. It just shows that you are thorough and you take care of people that you work with. Again, have a template ready for both scenarios, show and no show. Always personalize the did show template based on the notes you jotted down. So whatever conversations you had, you know, maybe they're a sports fan, who knows, maybe you talked about something that's really specific to that person. If you can just put a little paragraph at the top of that template, it lets them know this isn't your auto email spitting out. Like, okay, great, these guys have their stuff together. They have automated emails. That's really cool. Good for them. But when there's that little extra paragraph on top, they know that you crafted that yourself and that you're specifically paying attention to them. Does anybody know anybody in the world who doesn't want attention paid to them? Of course they don't. Everybody loves it. If you didn't jot down the notes in the computer the first time I asked you to, you got to do it now. Then send the email out. Okay, enough on that. Depending on how your sales process works for signing them up, you might have to repeat this whole process for a second appointment and so forth. Okay? So that's up to you. If they don't sign up on the day that most of them do, so if most people go for it on the first lesson or most of them go on the second lesson, whatever that day is, please have a template ready that summarizes the options discussed and it satisfies all rebuttals. Okay, now what are the rebuttals? These are the things in their head that they don't tell us. It's too expensive. I think I'm too overweight to do it. I couldn't really do that front kick they were trying to get me to do. I can't make the schedule. Whatever the case is, what I want you to do is take some time to go work with all your students that have had a success case and try to have a diverse group of them. All right? In that essay, in that little testimonial, you're going to get them to write. Put a little photo beside it. Have them, put together like a series of questions. If you say to anybody, "Can you please write me a testimonial?" Who knows what you're going to get? You might have noticed that we're doing a school guru series in our e-letters. Well, it's a set of questions because we want to gauge what type of information we want to share with the industry. You have to do the same thing. One of the questions should be, why were you tentative to first try martial arts, or what was a reason why you might have waited so long to start training in martial arts? And then they answer that question in the testimonial. At first I wasn't sure about trying martial arts because of blank. Then when I tried it, I noticed it wasn't like that, and this happened, and this happened. If you can send an email to someone with a hyperlink, what people are saying about us, or someone here might be similar to you, whatever the case may be, they click on that link, and then there's someone they can connect with, right? Why is reality TV so popular? Because the people at home watching it can relate to someone on it. It's not actors. It's real people. Hey, I'm kind of like that guy. I hope he doesn't get eliminated. Well, you have to use the same mentality. On this, what people are talking about us page, there has to be one person they can relate to so that they read it, and that person's eliminating the rebuttal for you, right? You don't want to have to get into this combative, so is it price? Because, we can talk about that. Like, no. Let other people do that for you. Also, because some email programs can tell you if they clicked on the hyperlink, that is a big clue. If you had someone not sign up on the day they usually do, and then they get that email, and they click on a link on your testimonials page, what people are saying about us, it tells you they're thinking about it. They just need a little bit more of a push. All right? So have that information. Okay, so that's the end of the short term. We're going to do the long-term lead pipeline. We're going to talk about a system, and then we're pretty much done. So I'm going to try and get us wrapped up in the next 10 minutes, then we can do some questions just in case you guys are wondering what our schedule is looking like. All right, so long-term pipeline leads. This is my definition. The leads that either you didn't enroll during your initial sales process, so however long that initial process is, maybe you give them a 1-month trial, I don't know. Maybe you go with just the 2 introductory appointments and write for the close, I don't know. But it's either the people who didn't go for it during that time frame, or they never entered the process to start with. So they inquired, and then it didn't go any further than that initial inquiry. Those are the long-term pipeline leads. That's what we're talking about now. Determine what is your trigger for determining when a lead has become a long-term pipeline lead. And again, typically it's what we just mentioned. They're non-responsive to a few attempts to invite them down, or when they visited, they elected not to sign up. So make sure that you have your own trigger, because everybody's different. And once that trigger is in place, communicate it to your staff. So that way we understand we have leads that sign up within our initial sales process called the short-term pipeline, and then we've got the ones that are the longer-term pipeline. Why am I saying it's so important to communicate this and to think about short-term and long-term? Because in that, I'm not saying anything about the no-term. I'm saying every single person you ever come in contact with may eventually sign up at your school. And if you can follow that mentality, you will be more successful. Short-term, long-term, period. Once you've got that long-term pipeline lead in place, okay, so this is a long-term pipeline lead. They didn't sign the first time up, and we're going to have to nurture them. We're going to have to work with them a little bit longer and keep in touch until one day they're ready to take an action. So get your dripping in place. The drip method, you probably heard this, quickly summarizing it. It's contacting leads at regular intervals until they express interest. So once every 2 weeks, once every month, we're communicating in some way, shape, or form, and we're basically just trying to keep in touch. That's dripping. This used to be just a direct mail thing. Then email joined the mix, and now has essentially replaced direct mail. So I'm going to take 2 seconds to say, to mail hard or to mail soft copy? That is the question. Let's compare. When it comes to dripping, direct mail, let's talk about it for a second. Not many people are doing it anymore. So just keep in mind, people receive a lot less mail than ever before. If you do it, you sure will stick out, right? However, it can be perceived as a faux pas, something politically incorrect, because it goes against this whole green movement. Well, these guys are using paper to promote their lessons. I'm not so sure. Also, direct mail is under your radar. Now, I'm not sure if you're concerned about what your competitors are doing or if they're on your email list and you don't like that. Some people think that way. Well, direct mail is very hard to receive if you're not intentionally supposed to receive it. I'm not really sure that that is something I'm concerned about. But if you are, yes, direct mail is something that keeps your offers and your competitive advantage a little bit more directed just towards leads rather than others that might use that information against you. Direct mail, extremely hard to track the results. People say, no, just put a website, www.championsway.com/ the name of the offer. Okay, when have you guys ever typed in championsway.com/ something? Never. We have our MA Success ad in the magazines, www.championsway.com/ MA Success. I know you're just going to go to championsway.com anyway. So what I'm recommending is have an offername.com, meaning create a different domain name that points to a specific page of your website that is generating only leads from that direct mail campaign. So have a completely different domain name. It might cost you $9 to have that. Direct mail is costly. So those are some things to consider. I'm not recommending it, and I'm not talking it down. I'm just saying these are the things I would urge you to consider before you get involved with a drip method campaign that's hard copy. Okay, email. Let's talk about that. People get a lot of email. They get tons of it. However, it is measurable. You can see if they open it. You can see if they click links. Email is awesome because it's interactive if they become interested. They can research instantly about you. From the second they're in an email, they can click on a link, go on your website, choose their own adventure and learn more. And email takes extremely little effort when you're automated. Okay. The importance of getting that info as early as possible is now quite evident. So the next step in managing our long-term leads is making our drip method campaigns targeted. This is impossible if you don't know anything about them. So now I hope you can see how important it is, even if it's the first contact, to get as much info as you can, because that might be the last time you ever hear from them. One of the things I try to get my sales guys to do is while they're on the phone, they'll say, okay, and if for any reason we should become disconnected on this phone call, we're using an IP phone, do you mind if I just get some information about you quickly? And it automatically takes the guard down. All I want to know is just how I could contact you back should we get disconnected. All right? I'm not saying you have to do that, but do what you need to get as much information as early as possible so that you can have targeted drip method campaigns to any of the leads that go past your initial sales process, and now all we can really do is send out the automated drips. So we want to know, based on their previous experience, I would say, never trained before, kind of trained a lot, so you could say no, intermediate or novice per se. have those 3 categories and have targeted emails that go out based on those categories. If they've trained before, you got to communicate differently than if they haven't, and vice versa.